Joining us at the beach today, Tyson Fury.
He's a good talker, and his story is crazy. He's fighting Deontay Wilder on Showtime pay-per-view December 1st. Two big men going at it. Let's talk to him. Tyson, your upbringing sounds fascinating. I don't think many of us really understand how you grew up. Can you explain it to us?
Yes, I grew up in a family of fighters that goes back hundreds of years, back to the bare knuckle days, right up to being heavyweight champion of the world.
And so, bare knuckle fighters, what is the family's history? What is it?
Like I say, the history of the family goes back to the early 1800s, and they always fought for a living, fought to feed the family, fought to put food on the table. My father was a professional boxer before me, and I came into the game as a young kid and always inspired to be the heavyweight champion of the world.
What can you tell us about your relationship with your father?
I got a great relationship with my father. My father's been there every single fight I've ever had, amateur and professional. I grew up, my father was my hero. I learned everything I knew from my dad for the boxing side of things. He was my trainer as an amateur and professional. I owe him big time, very big time.
How tough was he on you?
Very tough, very tough. He instilled in me, if you want something, you've got to go out there because no one's going to give it to you. Nobody's going to give anything away for free. Everything you have, you've got to work very hard for. And especially in my game, where there's 7 billion people on the planet and there's only 1 or 2 heavyweight champions of the world. What are the odds of being a newborn baby and then to grow up and be the heavyweight champion of the world? The odds have got to be astronomical.
Can you explain to us what happened that made you sort of leave the sport for 2 years?
Yes, I can. I was suffering with depression my whole life, and it was a massive build-up from being a young kid to being the heavyweight champion of the world. And after winning the World Heavyweight Championship in 2015, I came down with a lot of depression heavily, and it gave me the urge not to want to do anything anymore and just quit on everything. And I walked away from the sport for 2.5 years when I was very, very ill. As ill as you could be, really, contemplating suicide. It's hard to explain to people who've never been through it, but I can honestly say I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's been the hardest battle I've ever had to face. Mental health problems, it sucks. Everything can be great on the outside, but no one can see into your mind. And I was suffering terribly for a long period of time. And it wasn't until I got medical help where I decided to get back better and better and better. Until I'm back here today, I fought my way back to the top.
It's a crazy story when you think about it. Can you explain to the person who's watching here, well, you realized your dreams, your fighting dreams, your family dreams, you got to the very top of it, and yet empty inside.
I just felt like there was a massive hole, a big space of emptiness, of worthlessness. You know, I worked for something my whole life from being a little boy. I finally get to the mountain top, and I just felt so lonely and so afraid and so alone. And I just felt emptiness, worthlessness really, and it was just I felt as if it was just a big, pointless effort. Something I'd worked for 27 years, and it didn't mean anything to me. And at that time, well, I did. I gave it all back. I gave it all away. But at that time, I was in a very, very dark place. A place so dark where, on a daily basis, I wish I was dead, and I didn't want to live anymore at all. A place that nearly drove my wife to divorce. A place where I nearly lost all my wife and kids, all that sort of stuff. You know, it was very, very dark and a lonely place.
Can you explain some of this to us? Because I gathered, and I don't know the private issues, but in public it seemed like you were partying a great deal after winning the championship, which is something that one would do. But it's not because you were having fun, it's because you were totally lost?
Yes, it was. It looked that way from the outside, but the inside, I thought to myself, the only way I can escape this depression is through drinking. And boy, oh boy, is that the worstest thing that a man can ever do to help depression. It's like it's like chucking petrol on a fire, drinking. Anyone who's suffering mental health problems, alcohol will not make it go away. It'll just enhance it even more. Because when the drink wears off, then it hits you harder and harder and harder.
How did you climb out of all of that, Tyson? Because it seems once that hunger is extinguished and you're feeling worthless and you're gaining weight, that you wouldn't be able to get in this kind of shape for this fight and get back here.
Well, I was out of boxing. I was ill for 2.5 years, and I put on 135 pounds in weight. One night I went out with my friends, and I went to this bar, and I was there for like 20 minutes, and someone spoke to me and said, you know what, this is not for you. I left and I went home. My wife was quite surprised to see me come back early, She said, what are you doing back home? I said, look, I've had enough of this life. I can't do this anymore. I'm either going to die or I'm going to come back. And that night I got down on my knees and I begged and called out to God to help me, to give me a route back into boxing. Over all the obstacles I had to overcome, the weight loss, the mental health problems, suspended from boxing, you know, I had everything against me. And he brought me back to this moment. And I know it's for a reason, to regain the heavyweight championship of the world.
Looking back on your past, what would you say you'd like to go back and do differently upon re-examination?
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing, because what don't kill us makes us stronger, and if I didn't go through the trials and tribulations, I wouldn't be the man I am today. And this life is a test, and I'm happily to be tested.
Is a bad man, Papa. You got a tough question for him? Be careful here.
Yeah, I got a tough question. Tyson, you got in real good shape. Can you give my son some tips?
Really, Dan?
Yes, I can. I can give him some tips. Lay off the carbs and higher the protein, and get on the cardio.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Tyson, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir, and all the best. God bless you.